This is Sister Rebecca, aka Holly Hood. Um, this was brought to me by one of you, someone named Richard, very good friend and a supporter, and thank you, Richard. He wanted to know more about how and why the music influences the minds of young people in terms of the elite agenda. And although I discuss this in detail in my book, Hip Hop Illuminati, he wanted to see a whole video dedicated to that. So I'm actually going to do one better. Um, the reason I entitled this How to Join the Illuminati is because there are so many of you out there who are so caught up in that lifestyle, and the money and the bling, that I see young people on the internet asking people, how do I join the Illuminati? And they've turned it into some type of career aspiration, especially those within the game of entertainment. So I'm going to tell you all the things that they look for in terms of those of you who are broke, because you'll never be able to actually join, for starters. Okay, step number one. The chief qualifier for membership in the Illuminati is money. And many of the most powerful families in the cabal are also some of the wealthiest. Think Rockefeller, Kennedy, the Windsor dynasty. If you were born into money, then you've already pretty much got an immaculately tailored suit and a leg up on joining the Illuminati, because chances are your family is already in it. That's pretty much the key in, is that your family, but somebody has to start it somewhere. And that brings me to number two. If you are poor and you come from a poor family, but you make it on your own, either through business, real estate, entertainment, and invention, or anything else, you won't have to look for them. They'll look for you. And to tell you the truth, once you've shown that potential to turn a dollar into 10, you're in. You're going to be in. You won't even have to sign up anywhere. And this is why, just to go back to yesterday's video, this is why I believe that Jay was able to get a foothold. I'm not quite sure. I don't think he's in the Illuminati, but I think he is one of their prime puppets. There are levels to this. You guys know that. And he's at a higher level than most. Okay. Number three. As much as they talk, and this is funny because it comes right after Jay, but as much as they claim, to be steeped in racism and sexism, the membership is not entirely made up of men and not entirely made up of white men. Now, I can tell you that the black people that are in there, the few nigglets that they let through the back door, their bloodline leads to someone white, or they wouldn't even be in position. Now, the rules are lessened for the entertainment world of the cabal. In that case, they do actually bring in others, but again, they become prime puppets. But they're so close and so up there that they might as well be in. It's like, house nigger versus field nigger. The house nigger has a certain advantage because he's closer to the master, so he can put in requests that you may not, as the field nigger, be able to do. Okay, so number four, many Illuminati members they are also a part of the secret societies. And these are the people, these are like the Masons and the different, the Rosicrucians and all these different societies. And they meet, about Bilderberg. I've mentioned that before, up in Sweden. And this is why some of those ski resorts, Gestad and all of them, they've got private groups up there, So I would suggest to you nigglets who want to join this, that you need to, try to get into Skull and Bones or, one of these societies. See if you could get a seat at the Bilderberg, the next Bilderberg group. And that is one way that you will be able to join. You will be a honorary member. But while you're sitting there, perhaps you can focus on Matthew 6:19-21. And I mentioned this before, but it seems I can never mention it enough. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So keep that in mind while you're, trying to break down the door. That's your God. Your God is whatever you pursue the hardest. I pursue the word, so that's becoming who I am. But those of you out there that are pursuing the money, you're becoming that, a pursuer of money. In shadowy government societies, if getting behind this, into the Illuminati is not necessarily your goal, you just want to be connected. There are other types of secret organizations that you can join that have just as much an influence, and they themselves are connected to the elite. Because many of them, they're not just part of one secret society. A lot of them are on the boards of things, And the thing you want to keep in mind while you're doing that, looking for a secret society. Some of you joined the Church of Satan. Oh my God. I can't even imagine what you're thinking about. But just remember this while you're living this lifetime, and it comes from 1 Timothy 6:7-10. For we brought nothing into the world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that people plunge into, and they wind up in ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils, and it is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs. So once you acknowledge what's going on, that it's just your lust for money that's directing your steps, then perhaps you'll, redirect your path, because you only need very little to live. I've said this before, but I guess some of you, I have to say it again. So in a way, I am attempting to instill in you, to help you to control your mind in a good down direction. They have, they're telling young people out there, this is going into number 6, how to download this newest version of Auto-Tune and to dress yourself up and turn yourself into the next new artist. This is how you get in. So so many singers did this. Madonna, Britney, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Jessie J. All these people, they started, street raw, but somebody saw their talent and and decided they were going to turn them into this next mind control MK Ultra entertainer that would be used to attract the masses. You know, they used to say back in the day that no one can use you, we use each other. And I find that to be quite true, because actually those who go out this way, you singers and you entertainers and you people that got something, you know, that's a little special, a gift. When you are willing to allow yourself to be controlled and to just basically give over your soul for this game, then you're almost, I can't even think of the word. I want to think of the word, but it's sad. It's really sad, because that describes, for one, you're weak. It's not a strong move. It's a weak move, and you're easy to be guided. You're willing to. I'm going to tell you. Let me just go to scripture, because that's the only thing that makes it clear. If you go to Hebrews 13:5, you'll see that it says, "Keep your life free from the love of money, and be content with what you have. For he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you." And that's the point that I'm getting to. You don't even trust that you'll be okay. You're so desperate that you're willing to sell the gift that God gave you, because that's who gave it to you. You know, some of you get it twisted and think that you're all that. You're not all that. You're loved by the Lord. Okay, number 7, the hip-hop world has an obsession with the Illuminati. And in return, the Illuminati are said to be eager to add rappers in particular on their membership rolls. Now, the ones they've already had, and this actually, to me, in some cases, well, Jay-Z, Kanye, Dre, there's a whole bunch of them that they've had for a while, and that they still have. And I'm not sure. Jay might actually be in it now, because they've kind of opened the doors a little bit. But my point is that, and this answers your question, Richard, the music is used as a means of mind control. If you notice, the rappers that are good, which is the term the youth use now when they want to say, you know, that their money is right, everything's right, so they're good. Okay. The big time ones with the super millions behind their back, okay. They start the minute they see you're able to, one, in the case of Jay, turn $1, you know, but also the message. If you're already pushing, now, okay, my prime example is this kid, Designer, that song Panda, which went off the charts. And this is how he was able to get them interested in him, because I actually know who his lawyer is, and he's got almost every damn Illuminati client. But my point is that by talking about this stuff that is in the street, and how you know, you the same typical, you know, money, guns, hoes, and the strip club. Yeah, don't leave that one out. And you know, it's the same old. I'm like, you know, is anyone going to come with something original? And the ones who have something original and who have a positive message, they're pushed, they're pushed to the background. They can't get a break, because nobody wants to hear from the good stuff in life. The agenda, for lack of a better description, the agenda is to destroy the youth, not enhance them in any way. And so by the repetition of these lyrics, because what are the kids doing today? They're all walking around with these things on their heads, listening and brainwashing themselves. They don't even realize that they are brainwashing themselves with the music. And if you go back, you know, we're going to stay in this category just for a minute. Bear with me. But if you go back, because I have to answer Richard's question, I really do. If you go back to a video that I did about Anton Mesmer, and he used music in his therapy to for his patients as a part of therapy. His name Mesmer is where the whole term mesmerize came from, because it was his study that brought to light how the music determines a person's behavior. And he also introduced the flashing lights, and that also showed that the music, it was instrumental, and the lights together in combination could pretty much get the person in a certain state of mind. Now, I'm bringing that up because, one, that is where the concept of the club came from. What do you find in the club? You find music and flashing lights. So this I thought was interesting enough to show you the connection. And clubs are a huge source of money. In yesterday's video, where I was talking about Jay's $850 champagne, I also told you, well, I think I omitted to tell you that in the clubs, the turnover is even higher because they're charging now what they call table service. So that you have a limit on what you can spend, you know, the least you can spend, but there is no limit in how much you can spend. That's interesting. And it's business. It's a business, and I told you that yesterday. So, but however, Richard, just to even go more into detail, the Illuminati's interest in using the music industry as a form of mind control actually began in the 50s with rock and roll. Then it segued into heavy metal and now hip hop. They weren't interested in hip hop until it began to be a money maker. Back in the day, before there was even any hip hop labels, before there was even any hip hop records, when we were out there on 3rd Avenue dancing, there was the L then at the time on 3rd Avenue. And we were out there dancing and having battles with the music. No one was interested in it. It wasn't until Harry Belafonte came over from Hollywood, and he was interested in doing a hip-hop movie, which I was in, called Beach Street. And little by little, the hip-hop movies, they were being done. And so people started to get interested. But prior to that, no one was interested until it began making money. So that's my point. However, unlike their infiltration into the game period of music, they have been involved in the film industry since its beginning. So, you know, a lot of you don't know, but, and I said this in my Scarface video, the real Scarface movie was made by Howard Hughes way back in the day, and it was the story of Al Capone. He was the first Scarface. Now, Richard, here's my final answer to your question. You want to know about their the music, and this goes right into what I'm telling you guys in regards to them allowing rap music to become a source of the agenda. So I'm talking about number 7, in that they open their roles to certain rappers, and this is why. Mass hypnosis, we're back on that again, the mind control, is attainable by the repetition of an important theme like hip hop until it is accepted as fact by the subconscious and then the conscious mind. Now, these kind of messages, they can be transmitted during TV shows, music, video games, even films, which is why they've been using that as a medium forever, because film is used to film, television, all of these types of flashing images where they engross you into the topic. Sometimes you're being mind controlled without even knowing you are. They're not immediately perceived by the eyes and the conscious mind. And you've got young people, you've got so many things that are, the media chooses to glorify regarding the young people. So you've got the Illuminati, the elite, and it's bigger than just one secret society. There are many of them. They pick their pawns from those who are influential and capable of furthering their agenda. And not to pick on Jay, but it's a fact. He came through the door bragging about how he was selling crack in the hood. This gave him stripes, according to some of you nigglets out there. This gave him credibility, And so he was like the hood hero, And these are the ones they target. Because of this, their rebellious attitude. They did the same thing with T. Hey, Darlene. Darlene is my homegirl. She's T's baby mama, not Coco. This is before Coco. But anyway, they did the same thing with T. Remember, he was a gangster, New Jack City, and he did Cop Killer, that record, like back in his day when Atlantic was getting ready to drop him, But now, what is he? A cop on TV. This is like their joke. They like to show nigglets they place. Okay. So, Richard, here, this is what I'm saying. You've got kids out there already wilding. So you've got the industry, and in particular, look at Lil Wayne. All he represents, everything is dysfunction. And I happen to like some of his songs, But my point is that between the Molly and the whole negativity surrounding this brother, he's not a role model for any kid in my life, but this is where the elite are looking. Remember, they want to make a better world. They want to make America great again. And so they're targeting the mindset of rebellious young people who have an attitude towards authority. They have criminal tendencies, or simply those that are generally just ignorant and inept. But the Illuminati, the elite, they view this particular element of society as undesirable. Remember, they're seeking a perfect world. This is what Hitler also had been seeking. And I'm going to get back to the list. This is a few more, but I want to make these points. So they feel, the elite feel, that in order for the world to progressively advance under their complete control, that all would-be revolutionaries, excess baggage, which are what they consider addicts, elderly, and the infirm, the disabled, like myself. So many of you were quick to forget Donald making fun of the man who was disabled. I will never forget that. Most of us who are disabled will never forget that. But they're also looking to rid the world of the delinquent, rebellious youth, who they feel that are just in the way. And they, by, diminishing them, putting them into these private prisons and, other places like these FEMA camps and so forth, there will be more resources for the privileged classes. And then any remaining undesirables will then be enlisted in a slave class. So those of you obedient servant niglets, you'll be in the house with master. Now, why don't folks open their eyes and see what's going on? Why don't they listen? Well, I think it comes from Matthew 7:13, which provides one answer. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. And folks, this is why hip hop is able to wield so much influence in people, because they keep generating the same themes that most of you live for. And that is money, cash, and hoes. It's isn't that getting kind of tired now? I mean, I would think when I was young, I guess we were ADD because we always needed the next thing. We didn't stay stuck on something for years and years and years. That's why I think y'all crazy. I think that you've been brainwashed, and you've been brainwashed so much that you can't seem to break the mindset. So you're still doing like you always did for whatever time that this started manifesting in your head. And I believe it manifested in youth, in most of you. Most of you grew up in households with young parents that listened to this crap, and you started hearing it. Yeah, I've seen some of y'all, you got your kids gyrating. I've seen little kids twerking. That ain't cute, mama. That's not cute. And these TV shows don't help. These demonic elite Illuminati TV shows that show these little kids doing things that's not appropriate. And these pervs is watching the show and trying to get the address. You know, it's not cool. It's not cute. Okay, I'm going to go on back to the list because I got a little sidetracked. But anyway, number 8 is simply that, and I told you this, that, you know, they started using rock music. So, and that's everything from the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, AC/DC, Judas Priest, all of them are pretty much in the organization. Especially, you know, it's no secret that a lot of these secret societies are racist. And even though they let the few, you know, get in through the side door, for the most part, they're very elite. And this is why, for many of you who don't know, they had to create the Prince Hall Masons so the brothers could have somewhere to meet. All right, so I think I told you about the rock musicians actually being the first genre that they began infiltrating. Because Mozart, for those of you who don't know, because everything has to be a lesson, so forgive me. Or don't forgive me, because this is something you need to know. So next time that the teacher asks for someone with an intelligent opinion, it can be you. Okay. A lot of you don't know. The elite and the Illuminati in particular, the one that I talk about in terms of the German brother first initiated in the 1700s. Well, they have been involved really in music since 1791, somewhere thereabouts, because Magic Flute, the first incarnation of that, which was revived by Disney, another elitist family and from the bloodlines, it was composed by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And it was set to a German libretto by Emanuel Schankenker, and I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong. But he and Mozart were both Masons and Lodge brothers, just so you know. I'm just throwing that out there. So, you know, the elite is not new to the whole music thing. It's just something that they're doing differently these days, because and trust me, they still in that opera too. The elite, that's they form one of their favorite forms of entertainment. Okay. The other thing, if you lack musical talents, but you're attractive and you have charm, the ability, attractive simply, let's just break that word down. Attractive simply means the ability to attract. And this is what, sheep need. They need a shepherd that they can follow. That's all they know how to do is follow. So if you're a good follower, then you're perfect, because you'll go anywhere they lead you, even if it's off a cliff. If you have that ability to, and this is why America's Next Top Models and people who are attractive seem to get it easier, because those who want to use them see that potential. What's the first thing people see? Your face. Doesn't matter if it's slapped on an empty head. If it's beautiful, people want to work with you. They'll teach you to be a parrot. That's why they give you scripts. Now, say this. As long as you could read, you're good. And then even if you can't read, they'll help you. People who have good looks, that's number 9. That'll get you there. Because as long as you're willing to be used, got to be willing to be used. You got to be real compliant, especially if you're stupid. Okay. Number 10. While difficult to do, being elected the President of the United States carries with it almost certain membership. And I'm telling you, they're already in there before they're elected president. And they're also already connected to the bloodline way before there's ever a voting. They already know who's going to be in. And so, like I said, they got a few brothers sprinkled here and there. And I believe truly that Obama was definitely Illuminati, for sure. Him and Shelley. But, you have to be careful with that too. Because if you don't do what they tell you, then they get rid of you. I mean, it hasn't been going on lately, but remember President Kennedy and his brother. So even though you may be Illuminati and you're president, you're still not God. And I think Donald needs to learn that, because Donald seemed like he's so busy thinking how he used to think in terms of he running stuff, but now he realized, oh man, I can't believe I did this because I can't run this. And so, he need to be cool. All right, there's a couple of more ways you can get in. And like I said, they do, what do you call it? They groom you for that position. So the presidents are actually selected way before the election. Okay, I'm going to throw a few more other things out there that for you to think about. Now, virtually every government agency, including the CIA, the FBI, FEMA, CDC, DOD, IRS, and NASA, all have heavy Illuminati penetration. Some even say that they control every aspect of the government. And I say that as well, to tell you the truth, because each agency has a different purpose in its grand design in this new world order. So I believe that if you're working in one of those agencies that I mentioned and you have managed to get yourself to a certain level, because there are levels to this, then you are already Illuminati. Because you are a major piece of the puzzle. It's like that scientist who's working on a biochemical, formula. They need him at least till he get it done. So they're going to make sure when people need you, they tend to treat you better. So you will know as you're rising in the game how much your worth is. You'll know it by how much more money you get. You'll know it by how much you can contribute. Even if you're just a face, there's some of you women that are simply, well, they have a new term for it, beards, for these men, these high-powered men. So as long as you know how to smile and look pretty on someone's arm, then they'll keep you around. But if you mess up or you start not being obedient, then chances are you're going to die. Or they're going to find some other way to destroy you because you didn't play along with the game. You know, the other ways, and I think I sort of mentioned this, are if you're a nurse or a doctor, a medical researcher, a pharmaceutical sales rep. These are ways that you can be used by the Illuminati because they, in some cases, and those of you who've been to my myevents.com ministry donation site, you'll see a video on there, and you can watch the video without making a donation. Don't worry, you could, scroll through it. And I did a video on how they had me held prisoner in a hospital room with a fake TB diagnosis. So they use a lot of people within these hospitals and places. If you get my book, Hip Hop Illuminati, you'll see that I did a segment in there where people, are taken out of the equation either by financially or through some type of mental illness or how do you call it? Killed. They can do anything to you. When you're knocked out, you don't know what they're doing to you. So these kind of people are used by the elite in some way or another to either diagnose patients with diseases that they don't have and prescribe them drugs that they don't need. And if you remember my medical association video where I was telling you how all these drug companies, they lie like hell and they give you stuff that makes you worse than you were with whatever they were trying to treat. And the other way these people are used is if they invent a disease that people can panic over. Every few months is Ebola or, some other nightmare that they make people think that, there's no cure for it and you're going to instantly die. And it's not fair. It's horrible to do that to people when, it's all media spin, and then soon you don't hear anything else about it. So what happened? All of a sudden we're cured. And that's what really upsets me, is that they invent all these swine flu and all kinds of other crap, and then it just magically disappears after you've scared the hell out of us. So people, I want to just give this to you in a nutshell in terms of, knowing now that you know fully what the Illuminati, and there's more, but you'll be able to figure it out. I mean, someone mentioned to me about the homosexuality aspect of getting into the entertainment business and becoming successful. And I can tell you an instance where two people actually made off like bandits. And I can't mention names for legal reasons, but you'll be able to figure it out. I once knew of an incident where there was a young boy who was an intern at a hip-hop label. And the secretary, she had gotten up from her seat to go into her boss's office, who was a brother. And she saw the young intern performing a sexual act on the boss, the male brother who owned the company, and she ran out. And as a result, 2 days later, she was driving a Mercedes-Benz. And then the young intern, this is the interesting part of the story, the young intern wound up becoming this big mogul He had his own label. He was signing all these stars. He was making videos. He was making money. He had one of the biggest stars that ever lived. And so, you know, two people actually worked out favorably in that transaction. Doesn't matter that you were selling your soul, because he wound up having several kids, the intern. So even if he was gay, he's bisexual because he's been with both women and men. But I truly believe, knowing this brother pretty well, and I even have a video on him, that he was not gay at that time. I believe that he was simply doing what he had to do to get to his next level in the game. Remember, there are levels to this. Okay. So I would say, in his case especially, Matthew 6:24 applies. No one can serve two masters. For either he will hate one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. So I believe that young intern, because his whole thing from day one has been about money. Most of his little videos that he co-produced with his artists were concerning some type of luxury. He loved keeping liquor up in the video, and, you know, women, and just promoting pretty much the same thing that they're doing now. And he was doing this in the 90s. So think about that. From the 90s to the present, the theme has been money, cash, and hoes. It has not deviated too much past that. You've even got women singing about these things, when there were a time when we were conscious and singing, you know. I'm going to end here. This probably was one of my longest videos, but I wanted to be sure that I answered Richard's question. And I wanted to be sure that those of you who seek this will think twice about what you're willing to give in exchange, because the grass is not always greener on the other side. I understand poverty. I understand not having, even now, look at me. I don't have everything I need. Oh, excuse me, or even, let me rephrase that. I don't have everything that I would like, but I pretty much have everything I need. Now, we have to, you know, also be humble and realize that wants and needs are two different things. We may want to have steak tonight, but if all we can afford is chicken, be happy with chicken. I'm big, I'm fat. A lot of you know that. And, you know, I work a little bit on trying to fix that. But it doesn't take away from the fact that most fat people, we love to eat. Let's just keep it 100. We love food. And there are days that I sit here. I'll never forget, the other night, I was sitting here and I was wishing I had some fried chicken. And I know I don't need fried chicken. The last thing I need is fried chicken, but I wanted it. And then one of my friends did something that I usually don't like people to do. But this friend called me from around the corner and said, I'm in the neighborhood. What are you doing? And I already know that means, can I stop by? Probably because they've got time in between their auditions. And so my house would be a great place to just hang out until the next audition, which was typically how it goes. The good thing is that this friend was like, so you want anything? Can I bring you anything? So I was like, man, I feel like some fried chicken. And sure enough, the friend showed up with the fried chicken. And I enjoyed it. So my point is that I believe that what I thought at first was a blessing. It's a 2-point spiritual thing. What I thought at first might be a curse turned out to be a blessing, because like I said, I don't really like people popping up, you know, at the last minute, because then I have to like make sure I'm presentable. I may not be in the mood because I'm in pain a lot of the time. But my point in stating all of that was that it turned out to be a blessing because the Lord knows my heart. And if I didn't have the fried chicken, I would have ate happily what I had. So we've got to be content because there will be blessings that we may not see right away. Some of you don't even know what your future holds. Why give it all away when you don't know what the Father has planned for you? When you're blessed with a gift, it is your duty to share it. That is the blessing you've given to others. And then it may turn out to be a blessing. I'll tell you, last summer, I sat outside. I dressed up in all my African gear. And I sat outside playing drums. Free for the people. I didn't even ask them for anything. I just was playing because I enjoyed playing. And the people enjoyed passing by and taking my picture and what have you. And do you know, I wound up getting a gig that I wasn't even expecting. Someone paid me very generously to play at an art gallery over in Greenwich Village. You know, just like FYI, just come through, play anything you like, you know, wear anything you like. And it was and I did it, and it was wild. So my point is basically that we have to trust that what's for us is for us. You know, Matthew 6:33 even expounds on that. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and these things will be added to you. Seek God, and everything will be supplied unto you, will be added unto you. There are some he blesses with many riches. There are some he blesses with some riches. And then there are others who are poor. Be glad in everything. Because Acts 20:35 clearly says, in all things I have shown you that by working hard in this way, we must help the weak. And remember the words of the Lord, how he himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. One of you Lost Tribe Negroes had the nerve to write back to me in a comment that I have no business telling Jay what he should do with his money, and that he doesn't have to give back to Marcy if he doesn't want to. Well, to you, I don't remember your name, but I want to just say to you who wrote that comment, Acts 20:35. We must help the weak. We're not on. When God blesses you in this lifetime tremendously, you are simply the custodian of the money. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Help the weak. Key words. So it's not me passing a judgment on Jay. It is me passing by a righteous judgment on Jay. The word says that we are to work hard to gain so that we can help the weak. God doesn't bless everybody with riches. There are some of you, you're never going to see riches in this lifetime unless someone gives it to you. It's just that way. All right, this, like I said, it's a little longer, but it was so important to get all these points out because I realized that, you know, some of you you've been chasing that dream for a minute. Even some of you old folks, you make a fool out of yourselves strictly for the money. But that's for another video. Lord, thank you for the hearers of the word. Thank you for those who write and ask questions and opinions. But thank you mostly, Lord, for you giving me the spirit of wanting to answer the questions and consider the suggestions and be available and loving my neighbor, whether I know them or not, enough to be concerned about what concerns them, Lord. Thank you. Thank you for a spirit of unselfishness, for a giving and loving spirit. I ask that you disseminate this spirit amongst the people, Lord, so that we will all be more kind and caring towards people outside of our circle. We don't need to keep our circle tight. We need to smile and ask the peace of God for people who may be troubled, who may be suffering. And in cases where we can, if we know the neighbor next door got 10 kids and maybe she's struggling, when we can, if we can, bring her a couple of dollars. Lord, help us to not be cheap. Help us to love our neighbors. Even if they're not the friendliest or nicest people, we still need to love our neighbors. These are the people who live around us. Lord, I ask you to teach the people to remember Matthew 6:25-32, where you say, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Because it is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds in the air. They neither sow nor reap, nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more value than they? And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? And why are you anxious about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor snare. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Thank you, Lord, for the naturalness of you. Thank you, Lord, for helping us to remember who we are and whose we are. Thank you. Thank you for the subscribers. Thank you, Lord, for everything. Amen.